The cake arrived first, carried by two servers in black jackets. Its candles already lit, their flames steady and bright. Laughter rose with it, warm and loud, filling the living room like music that drowned out everything else. Elena stood just outside the doorway, her hand still on the cold metal handle, her coat half sipped, her breath caught in her chest. She had stepped into the house expecting quiet, maybe an awkward pause, maybe a sudden gasp of realization. Instead, she walked into a celebration that had nothing to do with her. "Happy birthday, Marcus!" Someone shouted. Her brother stood at the center of the room, tall, relaxed, perfectly at ease. He wore a tailored jacket and the smile he always had at moments like this. The kind that said he belonged exactly where he was. Their parents stood beside him, glowing with pride. Her mother wiped happy tears from her eyes. Her father raised his glass high. Elena glanced down at her phone without thinking. The date stared back at her. March 18th. Her birthday. She didn't feel shocked. That part had passed years ago. What she felt was something colder, sharper. A quiet click inside her mind. Like a door finally closing. No one noticed her at first. People passed by, laughing, carrying drinks, talking. Over each other. Someone brushed her shoulder and kept walking. She waited for a pause, a break in the noise, a moment where someone might look at her and realize. It didn't come. Her father finally turned and saw her, his face brightening for half a second. "Oh, Elena," he said quickly, already distracted. "You're home. Can you help your mother with the glasses?" That was it. No hesitation, no second look, just another task. She nodded without speaking and moved toward the kitchen. Her steps felt light, almost unreal, like she was watching herself from a distance. She opened cabinets she had opened 100 times before, pulled out glasses, lined them up neatly on a tray. Her hands didn't shake. That surprised her as she worked. Memories slid in without warning. A birthday when she was 10. Sitting at the table with a small store-bought cake. No candles because they'd run out. Her parents had been tired that year. Marcus had a game the next day. Another year, a rushed hug before school and a promise to celebrate this weekend. The weekend never came. There was always a reason. Always something more important. She carried the tray back into the living room. The singing had started again, louder now. Marcus laughed as someone clapped him on the back. Elena placed the glasses down carefully, one by one. She stood there, surrounded by people, and felt invisible in a way she hadn't felt since she was a child hiding in plain sight. Her mother passed by and smiled. "Thank you, sweetheart," she said, already turning away. Elena watched her go. There was no anger in her chest, not yet. Just a deep, steady awareness. This wasn't a mistake. You don't forget the same thing every year by accident. Forgetting once is an error. Forgetting again is a habit. Forgetting always is a choice. Marcus began opening gifts, expensive ones, thoughtful ones. Each wrapped carefully, each met with cheers. Elena leaned against the wall, her back cool against the paint. She wondered what would happen if she spoke up. If she cleared her throat and said calmly, "It's my birthday too." She pictured the looks of surprise, the rush of apologies, the sudden shift. But she also knew what would follow. Laughter to soften it. Jokes. "You should have said." Something, as if she hadn't been saying it for years in quieter ways. So she stayed silent. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A message from a coworker. "Happy birthday. Hope you're doing something nice today." Elena almost laughed. Someone outside these walls remembered. The party went on. Time moved strangely, stretching and folding in on itself. At some point, Marcus made a short speech, thanking everyone, thanking their parents for always being there. Their mother squeezed his hand, eyes shining. Elena felt something twist inside her, not jealousy exactly, but grief for something she had never been given. Slipped out onto the back porch for air. The night was cool and still. The noise from inside faded to a dull hum. She leaned on the railing and closed her eyes. For a moment she allowed herself to feel it fully. The hurt. The years of shrinking herself, of telling herself she didn't need much, that she was fine, that this was normal. She saw now how small those beliefs had made her. Inside, applause erupted. Another gift, maybe. Another moment. Elena straightened. Her sadness didn't vanish, but it settled into something solid. She understood finally that waiting to be noticed had cost her too much. If she wanted to matter in this family, she couldn't rely on their memory or their kindness. She would have to change the story. She went back inside, picked up her bag, and moved toward the door. No one stopped her. No one asked where she was going. As she stepped out into the night, she felt a strange sense of calm. This year they had forgotten her again. But this time, Elena would not forget herself. Elena did not cry when she got home that night. She hung up her coat, set her keys on the table, and stood in the quiet apartment she paid for herself. The silence felt heavy, but it was honest. No music, no applause, no pretending. She sat on the edge of her bed and stared at the wall until the images from the party stopped looping in her head. When she finally lay down, sleep did not come. Her mind stayed awake, sharp and restless, turning over one thought again and again. This could not keep happening. The next morning, she went to work like any other day. She smiled at co-workers, answered emails, finished tasks early. On the outside, nothing had changed. Inside, something had shifted. Every small memory now connected to a larger picture. Missed birthdays were not alone. They were part of a pattern. Family dinners planned without asking her. Decisions made for her. Praise saved for Marcus. Trust placed in her only when help was needed. She stopped defending them in her own mind. That was new. For years, she had explained their behavior away. They were busy. They meant well. Marcus needed more support. Now those excuses felt thin. Love, she realized, was not just feeling. It was action. And their actions spoke clearly. Days passed. Her parents called once, casual and light, as if nothing had happened. Her mother asked if Elena could help organize something important. Marcus was planning to propose. They wanted it perfect. Elena almost said no. The word sat on her tongue. Then she said yes. The choice surprised even her. She told herself she was being practical. Helping would keep the peace. But deeper down, another reason stirred. This was a chance. Not to scream. Not to accuse. But to be heard. She met with her parents to plan the event. They talked excitedly about venues, guests, decorations. They spoke over her sometimes, corrected her often, but trusted her with details. Elena listened more than she spoke. She watched their faces. She noted what mattered to them. Image. Timing. Control. Everything had to look perfect. At night, she wrote things down. Not plans of harm. Not words of anger. Just facts. Dates. Events. Moments that had been dismissed. She kept the list short and clean. No emotion on the page. That made it stronger. As the weeks moved forward, Her inner struggle grew louder. Part of her wanted to let it go. She imagined walking away, cutting contact, building a life without this weight. Another part wanted justice. Not loud revenge, but balance. She wanted them to feel what she had felt. Not pain, but awareness. She questioned herself often. Was this selfish? Was she becoming bitter? She thought about Marcus. He wasn't cruel. He never asked to be favored. He simply accepted what came easily. In his mind, Elena was capable, strong, fine. That belief had allowed him to look away. That hurt more than anger ever could. Elena kept helping. She booked vendors, confirmed guest lists, designed the schedule. Her parents praised her work. "We don't know what we'd do without you," her father said one afternoon. The words landed heavy. They depended on her, yet never celebrated. Each compliment sharpened her resolve. She imagined the moment she would speak. She pictured different versions. In one, she stayed silent forever and carried the weight alone. In another, she exploded, letting years of hurt pour out. Neither felt right. Silence would erase her. Rage would consume her. She wanted something else. Truth. The closer the event came, the more pressure she felt. Her sleep grew light. Her thoughts raced. She practiced calm breathing, steady movements. She reminded herself of the goal. Not to destroy. Not to punish. To be seen. One evening, Marcus called her directly. That was rare. He sounded excited. Nervous. He thanked her for helping. "You've always been so reliable," he said. "I don't know how you do it." Elena held the phone tightly. The words echoed, reliable, strong, always there. She realized those labels had become a cage. They allowed everyone to take without giving back. After the call ended, she sat in the dark and made a decision. She would not beg for love anymore. She would not hide her pain to protect their comfort. Whatever happened next, she would walk into it with open eyes. She refined her plan. It wasn't complex. It didn't need to be. She would speak once. Clearly, calmly, no insults, no raised voice. Just facts and truth. She would give them a chance to understand. Still, doubt crept in. What if they laughed it off? What if they turned it on her? What if this changed everything forever? She knew. There was no way back after this. Silence had been her shield. Breaking it would leave her exposed. The night before the event, she barely slept. She stood by her window, watching city lights flicker. She thought about little Elena, waiting for candles that never came. She thought about the woman she had become by learning not to ask for much. She felt sadness, but also pride. She had survived. She had built herself without applause. By morning, her fear had settled into focus. At the venue, everything moved fast. Guests arrived. Music played. Laughter filled the space. Elena worked. Smoothly, guiding staff, checking details. No one suspected anything. Her parents were glowing. Marcus looked happy, unaware. As she moved through the room, Elena felt the weight of the moment ahead. Her heart beat steady, not wild. She understood now that revenge wasn't always loud or cruel. Sometimes it was simply refusing to stay invisible. When the microphone was tested, a soft echo rang out. Elena looked at it and felt calm. She was not there to tear anything down. She was there to claim space that had always been hers. Whatever followed, she knew one thing was certain. She would never let herself be forgotten again. The room shimmered with light and movement. Guests filled every corner, voices rising and falling like waves. Elena stood near the edge of the crowd, hands folded, posture calm. Inside, her heart moved fast, but her face showed nothing. This was the moment she had imagined in quiet rooms and sleepless nights. The moment where every path narrowed into one choice. Marcus stood near the center, smiling, his arm around Claire. He looked happy in a way that felt real, not practiced. There, parents hovered close, proud and busy, greeting guests, soaking in praise. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. Elena felt the weight of the room press against her. This was their world, built on order and celebration. Stepping into it with truth would change its shape forever. Her father tapped the microphone. The sound cut clean through the noise. Conversations faded. Heads turned. Elena's breath slowed. She had expected fear. Instead, she felt steady. "Before we continue," her father said warmly, "Elena has something prepared. She's helped so much with this event." A ripple of polite attention moved toward her. Elena stepped forward. Each step felt loud in her ears, but her body moved with purpose. She took the microphone. It was cool in her hand. For a second, she said nothing. She looked out at the faces. Friends, family, strangers, people who knew her as the quiet one, the one who never asked for much. She began. "I won't take long," she said. Her voice carried clearly. "Tonight is about love and celebration. That matters." A screen behind her lit up. The first image appeared. Marcus as a child, smiling over a cake, candles glowing. Then another. And another. Years passed in seconds. Applause echoed softly as guests smiled, recognizing moments. Elena did not look back. She let the images speak. Then the images stopped. The screen changed. Simple text appeared. Dates, years, her name beside them. No photos, no candles, just empty space. A murmur moved through the room. Elena continued, calm and measured. Some moments are loud, others are quiet. Both shape who we become. Her mother stiffened. Her father's smile faded. "This is not about blame," Elena said. "It's about patterns, about what happens when one voice is always heard, and another learns to stay silent." Marcus looked confused now. His brow furrowed. He glanced at their parents, then back at Elena. Elena felt the pull to explain more, to dig deeper, to pour out everything she had held back. The words pressed against her chest, ready to rush out. She could name the hurt. She could list every time she felt small. She could turn this moment into something sharp and unforgettable. She paused. This was the edge. The point of no return. She thought of the nights she lay awake, anger burning hot. She thought of the calm she felt now. She understood that revenge offered a quick release but no peace. She didn't want them broken. She wanted them awake. "I've spent years telling myself that being forgotten didn't matter," she said. "That I was strong enough not to need attention. Strength, I've learned, should not mean erasing yourself." The room was silent. Elena's hand trembled slightly, but her voice stayed firm. "I'm not here to ruin anything. I'm here to be seen." She lowered the microphone and stepped back. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then a soft clap sounded from somewhere in the crowd. It stopped quickly. No one joined in. The silence returned, heavy and thick. Elena didn't wait. She turned and walked toward the exit. Her steps were quick now. Sure. She passed familiar faces, unreadable expressions, whispers beginning to form. She didn't look back. Outside, the night air hit her like water. Cool. Clean. She breathed deeply, her lungs filling fully for the first time in years. Her hands shook now, the tension releasing all at once. She leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. Behind the doors, the world she had stepped out of shifted. She didn't need to see it to know. Questions would rise. Guilt would surface. Defenses would form. Nothing would ever be quite the same. The door opened. Marcus stepped out, his face pale. "Elena," he said, voice low. "Why didn't you tell me?" She met his eyes. For the first time, she didn't soften her truth. "I did," she said simply. "In quiet ways." He swallowed. "I didn't see it." "I know," she replied. Their parents appeared behind him. Her mother's eyes were wet. Her father looked older somehow, shoulders heavy. They didn't speak right away. Elena felt no triumph, no rush of victory. What she felt was clarity. She had crossed the line. She feared, and the world hadn't ended. She was still standing. "I didn't want to hurt anyone," she said. "But I couldn't stay invisible." Her mother reached out, then stopped, unsure. That hesitation said more than words ever could. "I need space," Elena added. "Not to punish, to breathe." Her father nodded slowly. "We should have done better." The words landed quietly. No excuses followed. Elena turned and walked. Away down the sidewalk, her footsteps steady. With every step, the tight knot inside her loosened. She didn't know what would come next. Forgiveness was not promised. Healing was not guaranteed. That she had made her choice. She had stood at the edge of revenge and chosen truth instead. And for the first time, that felt like power. The days after the party moved slowly, like time had thickened. Elena woke each morning expecting a rush of regret or fear, but neither came. Instead, there was a steady calm, unfamiliar but welcome. She went to work, cooked simple meals, took long walks. Her phone stayed mostly quiet at first. She let it. When the calls began, she didn't answer right away. Her parents left messages, careful and unsure. No anger, no blame, just questions and apologies that sounded different from before. Less rushed, less defensive. Elena listened without responding. She needed the distance to understand what she felt. She thought about revenge often in those quiet hours. Not the kind she almost took, but the idea of it. She realized she had expected satisfaction to feel loud, like relief bursting open. Instead, what she felt was softer. A release. Like setting down a heavy bag she had carried too long. One evening, her mother sent a message asking to meet. Just the two of them. Elena agreed, choosing a small cafe near the park. Neutral ground. When her mother arrived, she looked nervous. Hands folded tightly, eyes tired. They talked slowly. No raised voices, no excuses. Her mother admitted she had assumed Elena was fine because she never complained. She admitted that Marcus had needed more attention and that habits formed without question. Hearing it hurt, but it also explained things Elena had blamed on herself for years. "I should have noticed," her mother said quietly. Elena nodded. "I should have mattered without asking." They sat with that truth between them. It wasn't fixed, but it was real. Her father called next. He spoke less, but his words were direct. He said he had failed as a parent by letting comfort replace care. Elena appreciated the honesty. She didn't forgive him right away. She didn't need to. Marcus waited longer. When he finally came to her apartment, He stood in the doorway like a guest, not a brother. He apologized without defending himself. He said he had built his confidence on attention he didn't earn alone. He said he was learning to look back, not just forward. Elena listened. She saw the guilt in his face, but also growth. She realized something important then. Revenge would have frozen him in shame. Truth had given him room to change. Weeks passed. The family dynamic shifted in small ways. Invitations included her name first. Questions were asked instead of assumptions made. It felt strange, almost awkward, but real. Elena didn't rush to fill the space with trust. She let it build slowly. Her next birthday came quietly. No grand party. Just a dinner at home. Candles on a small cake. Laughter that didn't try too hard. Elena watched the flames and felt something settle inside her. This wasn't repayment for the past. It was a new beginning. Later that night, alone again, she reflected on the path she almost took. She had wanted them to feel her pain. Instead, she had shown it. The difference mattered. Pain shared can heal. Pain returned only. Spreads. Elena understood now that revenge had tempted her because it promised control. But control was never what she needed. She needed recognition, respect, space to exist fully. She didn't regret speaking up. She didn't regret walking away when she did. Those choices had changed the shape of her life. She no longer waited for permission to matter. Standing by her window, city lights glowing below, Elena felt at peace. Not because everything was perfect, but because she had chosen herself without destroying others. Revenge had whispered promises of satisfaction. Truth had given her freedom.